The space station Helios Delta floated between two dying suns, old and tired like the travelers who passed through it. Its metal halls echoed with footsteps, voices in strange languages, and the quiet fear of people who did not fully trust the stars. For humans, it was just another stop. For others, it was a place of risk. Eli Harper stood in line at the reception counter, holding a worn travel bag and a half-dead comm device. He was far from Earth, far from anyone who knew his name. The station had gone into emergency lockdown after a reactor failure in the lower ring. No ships were leaving. No rooms were opening. When it was his turn, the clerk barely looked up. "One room left," the clerk said, voice flat. "Shared if necessary." Eli nodded. He had slept in worse places. Then he noticed the figure standing just behind him. The alien looked young at first glance, slender frame, smooth blue skin, eyes too large for a human face. But Eli had learned enough during his travels to know appearances lied. The alien species of Rin's kind aged slowly. By law, by biology, by every official record, he was an adult. Still, fear sat on the alien's face like a shadow that would not leave. The clerk scanned the alien next. "Same room," the clerk said. "No exceptions." The alien froze. His hands trembled as he leaned closer to Eli. His voice dropped to a whisper, almost lost beneath the hum of the station. "Only one room left," he said softly. "We're adults, right?" Eli turned and looked at him fully now. Not as an alien, not as a stranger, just as someone scared and alone. "Yeah," Eli answered without hesitation. "We're adults." The alien swallowed. His eyes searched Eli's face, as if trying to read something deeper than words. "There is something about me," the alien said. "Something dangerous if others know." He stopped. Fear tightened his throat. Eli did not rush him. "Your secret," Eli said quietly, "is safe with me." The alien closed his eyes for a moment, like someone holding back a storm. "My name is Rin," he said. "Eli," the human replied. The clerk assigned the room and handed them a single access chip. One bed, one sealed door, no choice. They walked the hallway in silence. Red emergency lights painted long shadows on the floor. Rin stayed close to the wall, flinching whenever a patrol drone passed. Inside the room, the door slid shut with a heavy sound. The space was small, clean, and uncomfortable. One narrow bed, one chair, one window showing the cold beauty of space. Rin stood near the corner, arms crossed tightly, breathing shallow. Eli noticed and sat down on the floor instead of the bed. "You can take it," Eli said. "I don't mind the floor." Rin looked surprised. "You would do that?" "Yeah," Eli said. "I've slept worse." Minutes passed, then more. The station groaned as systems adjusted. Somewhere far away, alarms faded. Rin finally spoke. "Humans are loud," he said. "Strong, they break things." Eli smiled faintly. Sometimes we also protect things." Rin looked at him then, really looked. "My people believe humans are chaos," Rin said. "That being close to you brings danger." "And yet," Eli replied, "you trusted me." Rin's voice softened. "I had no other choice." Eli shook his head. "You always have a choice." Outside the room, footsteps approached, then passed. The walls felt thin. The universe felt closer than ever. Neither of them knew it yet, but that shared room, taken by force of circumstance, was the first step toward a story that would travel farther than any ship. Because sometimes, humanity is not shown in battles or weapons. Sometimes, it begins with a simple promise in a quiet room among the stars. The room felt smaller after the door sealed behind them. Eli sat cross-legged on the floor, his back against the cold metal wall. The faint hum of the station vibrated through his body, mingling with the distant clatter of machinery and the occasional thrum of gravity stabilizers. Rin stood by the window, staring at the endless dark stretch of space, his skin flickering slightly under the dim lights like a reflection in water. "I don't usually share spaces," Rin said softly, almost as if the words were painful. "Most humans I meet, they push. They want answers, they want to understand, they want to change things." Eli leaned back and smiled, tired but patient. "I don't want to change anything. I just want to keep my word. Your secret is safe with me, remember." Rin's eyes glimmered faintly, and his hands twitched at his sides. He seemed ready to vanish into the walls, to fold into the shadows and disappear. But the door held him in, as if forcing him to face the fear he had been running from. "My people are hunted," he admitted, voice low. "Not for crimes, but for what we can do. Some think I am dangerous. Others think I am a weapon. They do not see me as a being." Eli listened quietly. He did not ask questions. Questions sometimes made fear worse. He just nodded, letting Rin speak in his own time. The alien seemed surprised by the silence, as though he had expected judgment, disbelief, or mockery. None came. Hours passed slowly. The room held only their breathing and the faint hum of the station. Outside, the emergency lights flickered, casting long, trembling shadows. Rin finally sat on the edge of the single bed, his long legs dangling over the side. He stared at his hands, flexing fingers that shimmered faintly in the light. "I have a gift," Rin whispered. "Something my people taught me to hide. Something that can reshape metal, bend machines, even touch energy without touching it directly. If anyone sees, if they understand, I will not survive." Eli swallowed. "Then they won't see. That's what we agreed, remember. Your secret stays with me." Rin's skin shifted slightly, the pattern almost like waves moving across a still lake. He looked at Eli wide-eyed, as if searching for proof that the human was serious. "You would protect me, even if it costs you." Eli's eyes were steady. "Yes, even then." A long silence fell between them. The station groaned as another system rebooted, and somewhere far above, alarms sounded faintly and then stopped. Rin's glow faded slightly, his tension easing just a fraction. You never do this," Rin said after a while, his voice softer. "Trust like this, it's rare among humans. They are loud, impulsive, sometimes violent. I expected you to push, to question, or to fear me." Eli leaned back against the wall. "We humans can be all those things, but sometimes we see someone afraid and we do the right thing anyway, even when it's dangerous." Rin's gaze shifted to the small window. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, cold and indifferent. Yet inside this cramped room, for the first time in cycles he couldn't count, Rin felt something unfamiliar: safety. "Maybe," Rin said quietly, "humanity isn't entirely chaos." Eli chuckled softly. "It is, and sometimes it surprises even itself." The two of them sat in silence, side by side, sharing the same air in the smallest room of the station. For the first time, the fear that had clung to Rin like a second skin loosened, if only slightly. And the human, Eli, knew that trust like this could change everything, if only they survived the night. Outside, the station groaned again. Something was moving in the shadows. But inside, two strangers, one human, one alien, had found a fragile, unspoken bond that might be stronger than the universe itself. The room was quiet for hours. Outside, the station's corridors buzzed with life, alarms, and distant machinery, but inside, time felt suspended. Eli sat cross-legged on the floor, letting the hum of the station soothe him. Rin, however, stood near the window, his eyes tracing the stars with an intensity that made the room feel alive. "Eli," Rin said at last, his voice barely audible, "I think you need to see it." Eli looked up surprised. "See what?" Rin hesitated. His fingers hovered in the air and the metal panel beside the bed rippled like water. Tiny circuits danced across the surface, glowing and fatting as if alive. The air around Rin seemed charged, vibrating slightly. He exhaled slowly, as if preparing himself for something he had hidden his entire life. I can do more than survive, Rin admitted. I can shape machines, I can bend energy, I can touch systems without touching them. My people, they taught me to hide it, but hiding it isn't enough. If someone finds out, I won't live. Eli leaned forward, his curiosity piqued but his expression calm. And you think hiding it with me will help? Rin looked away, shame and fear flickering across his features. Humans are unpredictable. I don't know if you'll protect me or destroy me. I'll protect you, Eli said simply. I promised, that's enough for now. Rin exhaled, a soft, almost relieved sound. Then, almost instinctively, he reached toward the metal panel again. The circuits shifted into shapes, tiny, glowing symbols that seemed to tell a story Eli could not read. They danced, forming patterns and letters that pulsed gently. The energy in the room was tangible, like a heartbeat. You've never seen anything like this before, Rin whispered. Most humans would be terrified. They would call the authorities or worse, try to control me. Eli shook his head. Not me. I see someone afraid, someone hiding from a universe that wants to destroy him, and I see someone who just wants to live. Rin turned to him, his large eyes shimmering with a mix of fear and wonder. No one has ever said that to me. No one has ever looked at me like that. Maybe that's because you've never needed someone like that, Eli said. Until now. For the first time, Rin allowed himself to relax. His skin's soft glow faded into steady, calm tones. The room no longer felt oppressive. The fear that had gripped him for decades loosened its hold, replaced by a fragile sense of trust. Eli watched him, thinking about how rare this moment was, two beings from different worlds, finding understanding in the silence between words. He realized that the station outside, with all its alarms and chaos, could never reach them here. This room, small and cold, had become a sanctuary. Rin took a deep breath. I've hidden my abilities for so long. I've run from everyone who might use me, everyone who might destroy me. He paused, looking at Eli directly. And yet here you are, and I feel safe. Eli smiled faintly. You should, because sometimes, even in the cold emptiness of space, humans can be the thing that makes someone feel safe, even someone like you. A quiet understanding settled between them. Rin's secret was still dangerous, still unknown to the rest of the galaxy, but it no longer felt like a burden he had to carry alone. With Eli's silent promise, he had a shield, fragile but real. Outside, the station continued its endless hum. Inside, two beings, one human, one alien, sat together in a room no larger than a cage, yet somehow, it felt like freedom. And for the first time, Rin allowed himself to hope. Because sometimes, the universe did not have to be cruel. Sometimes, it gave strangers a chance to become allies. Sometimes, trust itself was the most powerful force in existence. The quiet of the small room shattered with a violent crash. The door exploded inward, sending shards of metal and sparks flying. Eli barely had time to react before a swarm of security drones flooded the room, their red lights piercing the dim glow. Rin flinched, his skin rippling with fear and energy, the glowing patterns dancing faster than ever. Unregistered life form detected, a mechanical voice boomed. Surrender immediately. Rin pressed himself against the far wall, eyes wide, trembling. They found me, he whispered, almost to himself. His hands glowed faintly as if preparing to defend himself, but the fear in his eyes made it clear he had no intention of harming anyone. Eli stepped forward without thinking. He raised his hands, palms open, facing the drones. He's under human protection, he shouted, voice echoing through the small space. By interstellar law, he cannot be harmed. The drones paused, scanning Eli. Machines didn't hesitate often, but something about his calmness, or perhaps the human authority protocols, made them stop for a fraction of a second. That fraction was enough. Rin looked at Eli, disbelief and awe in his glowing eyes. You didn't run. No, Eli said firmly. I'm not leaving you, not now. The drones recalculated. One of them raised its weapon, but Eli moved instinctively, placing himself directly between Rin and the machine. "You want him. You go through me." The room trembled with tension. Rin's hands hovered in the air, struggling to control the trembling energy that was beginning to leak into the walls and floor. Sparks danced along the edges of the panels. He had never seen a human stand like this, not to threaten but to protect, not to fight but to defend. "I've never seen anyone do that," Rin murmured, his voice shaky. "Ever." "Get used to it," Eli said, keeping his tone calm though adrenaline surged through him. "Humans can be unpredictable. That's our advantage." Rin's glow intensified, not in attack but in nervous energy. The walls around him quivered under the subtle manipulation of his abilities. Metal bent slightly, circuits shifted, but he restrained himself, knowing that harming the drones, even in self-defense, could have catastrophic consequences. Eli took another step forward. "Listen to me," he said. "You don't have to fight them. You don't have to prove anything. Just stay calm. We'll get through this." Rin exhaled, the glow fading to softer hues. "You trust me so completely," he whispered, almost in disbelief. "Even now." "Yes," Eli replied, "because fear doesn't make someone dangerous. Hiding from the world doesn't either. You're not a weapon. You're someone who needs protection, and I choose to give it." The drones scanned them again, indecision clear in the hesitation of their programming. Rin's hand stilled. He sank slightly to the floor, exhausted from the tension, the glow dimming entirely. For the first time, he allowed himself to feel the security that Eli's presence gave him. Seconds stretched like hours. Finally, the drones stepped back, their red lights flickering. The threat had not passed entirely, but Eli had bought them time. And in that time, a fragile bond grew stronger, one built on trust, courage, and the willingness to protect another being, no matter the cost. Rin looked at Eli, eyes glimmering with gratitude and something deeper, a recognition that not all humans were chaos, that some could be allies and some could even be guardians. Eli smiled faintly. "We'll figure out what to do next," he said, "together." For the first time in what felt like a lifetime, Rin allowed himself to believe that someone, not just anyone, but a human, might actually care enough to stand between him and the universe's dangers. And outside, the station hummed on, unaware that in one small room trust had become a weapon stronger than any gun. The room was silent again, but the air felt different. Sparks from the broken door had cooled, and the red light from the drone's scanners faded in memory, leaving only the soft hum of the station. Rin sat on the edge of the bed, exhausted, his glowing patterns dim but still faintly visible, like the last flickers of a dying fire. Eli remained standing, alert, listening to the distant echoes of the station, knowing the threat had not vanished, only been delayed. "I could leave," Rin said after a while, voice low, almost a whisper. "I could escape, hide, and they would never find me. I don't need anyone." Eli turned to him, calm but steady. "And leave me behind." Rin's eyes widened. You would stay." "Yes," Eli said without hesitation. "I promised. Your secret is safe with me. That means more than safety. It means you're not alone, not while I'm here." Rin's glow flickered again, this time in soft hues of blue and green. He swallowed, struggling to find the right words. "I've never had anyone choose me. Not for protection, not for trust, not for friendship." Eli smiled faintly, a little tired but full of warmth. "Maybe that's because humans are strange. We don't always understand why we do the right thing. Sometimes we just do it anyway." Rin looked at him, incredulous, and for the first time a small, genuine smile appeared on his face. "Even if it costs you." "Even then," Eli said firmly. The alien took a deep breath and stood. His hands hovered in the air, brushing the small metal panels on the wall. The panels bent slightly under his touch, bending without breaking. He could escape easily, warp the room, tear a path through the station, but he didn't. He looked at Eli and slowly, deliberately, let the door seal back into place. "I won't run," Rin said. "Not while you stay with me." Eli nodded. "Then we face it together. Whatever comes next, we face it together." Outside, the station thrummed with life, unaware that one of the most dangerous beings in the sector had chosen to trust a human. And in choosing trust, he had also chosen humanity, something he had never understood before. Rin's glow softened. He approached Eli cautiously, his eyes still wary but searching. "Why?" he asked quietly. "Why do you care so much?" Eli shrugged. "Maybe because I've learned the universe isn't always fair. Maybe because fear shouldn't decide who lives or dies. Or maybe because sometimes protecting someone else is the only way to prove we're truly human." Rin looked at him, the faint green light on his skin pulsing with a rhythm almost like a heartbeat. "Humans, you are unpredictable." Eli chuckled softly. "That's putting it mildly, but sometimes unpredictability saves lives." They both fell silent again, letting the hum of the station fill the room. In that quiet, a new understanding had formed. A bond stronger than fear, stronger than danger, stronger than anything the universe could throw at them. Rin finally allowed himself to relax fully, sitting on the bed, letting his glowing energy calm. He realized for the first time that trust could be a choice, not a gamble. And Eli, watching him, knew that he had made the right choice too. Because sometimes, the bravest act wasn't in fighting or fleeing. It was in standing still and choosing to protect someone who the world had labeled dangerous. And together in a small, cramped room surrounded by stars, two beings, one human, one alien, had already begun rewriting the rules of survival. The universe could wait. For now there was only trust, quiet, and the fragile beginnings of hope. Weeks later, the station had become a courtroom. Not a traditional one with wood panels or chairs, but a hall filled with officials, holographic displays, and the low hum of machines recording every movement. Rin sat beside Eli, his glowing patterns subdued but his posture tense. He had been summoned for judgment. Representatives from multiple governments, empires, and interstellar councils filled the seats. They had questions, they had fear, and they had preconceptions. "Unregistered life form, capable of manipulating matter and energy at will," one official began. "Evidence shows he can disrupt critical systems. He is a danger. What justification exists for allowing him to remain free?" Rin remained silent, his large eyes fixed on the floor. He had expected hostility, interrogation, condemnation, but he had not expected the sheer weight of judgment pressing down on him from all sides. Eli leaned slightly toward him. "Don't speak unless you want to. Let me handle this," he whispered. The alien's gaze met his. "Why, you could lie, you could save yourself." Eli smiled faintly. "Because humanity sometimes does the right thing even when it's risky. You aren't a weapon, you're a person. That's what I'll show them." When it was Eli's turn to speak, he rose and let his voice carry across the hall. "This being has never attacked. He has never endangered anyone intentionally. All he has ever done is hide, afraid of a galaxy that would see him as a tool to be used or destroyed. And yet, here he is, calm, controlled, trying only to survive. That deserves recognition, not punishment." Murmurs filled the room. Some humans nodded, some aliens frowned, but Eli continued, steady and unwavering. "Fear does not make someone dangerous. Power does not make someone dangerous. It is intent. And I stand here to tell you his intent is not harm. His intent is life. And he has chosen to trust me, a human, despite what the galaxy has taught him about our species." Rin looked at Eli, all written across his face. Never had anyone defended him so passionately, so without hesitation. He felt something unfamiliar, a sense of belonging, a sense of protection beyond himself. The officials debated. They argued. They cited laws, protocols, and precedents. They feared what Rin could do if left unchecked. But Eli's words hung in the air, a simple truth that no rule could override. Rin was alive and he deserved a chance. Finally, the head judge, a human elder who had seen the rise and fall of civilizations, leaned forward. Her eyes softened as she regarded both of them. The universe has always feared what it does not understand. Humanity has been guilty of that more than once. And yet sometimes humans show courage, not by fighting but by choosing to protect. This life form will be granted sanctuary under human oversight. He will not be experimented upon, enslaved, or destroyed. He will be allowed to live. A hush fell over the room. Rin's glow pulsed faintly, almost in disbelief. You mean it," he whispered. Eli nodded. "Yes, and from now on you have allies. You're not alone anymore." As they left the courtroom, the weight of judgment lifted slightly from Rin's shoulders. He had survived scrutiny, suspicion, and fear, not by hiding or fleeing, but because one human had chosen to believe in him. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly. For Rin, the galaxy no longer felt like a cage. And for Eli, the universe had proven once again that courage was not in firepower or strength. It was in standing for what was right, even when everyone else doubted. In that moment, they both understood something fundamental. Survival was not just about staying alive. It was about being seen as who you truly were and being accepted for it. And humanity, for all its flaws, had chosen to rise to that standard. Years later, the green planet of Leora 7 stretched endlessly under twin suns, its forests humming with life, rivers sparkling in the light, and cities rising in harmony with the land. Rin walked beside Eli along a quiet path, his skin calm, glowing softly with colors that mirrored his emotions rather than fear. For the first time in decades, he felt normal, not hunted, not hiding, not trembling at every shadow. "Eli," Rin said quietly, his voice carrying both awe and wonder, "I never imagined this, that I could live somewhere like this, that I could exist without fear." Eli glanced at him and smiled, tired but warm. "You earned it, Rin, not because of your power, but because you chose to trust, because you chose to live, and because someone me chose to stand with you." Rin's eyes shimmered. "I've seen humans fight, I've seen humans destroy, I've seen your species create chaos across stars, and yet you saved me." "That's what humans can do," Eli said. "We're strange, unpredictable, sometimes reckless, but sometimes we protect. Sometimes we rise to do the right thing, even when it costs us." Rin considered this, stepping carefully over a root glowing faintly with bioluminescent moss. "Then the galaxy will remember this moment, won't it? Humanity standing for someone like me." Eli shrugged. "Maybe. Or maybe only the people who need to remember will. The important part is that we acted." They reached a hill overlooking a city where humans, aliens, and hybrids coexisted. Children played without fear. Machines hummed in harmony with nature. The air smelled fresh, and stars glimmered faintly in the daytime sky as if reminding the world of its vastness. "You really think the galaxy can change?" Rin asked. Eli looked out at the city, then back at him. "I don't know about the galaxy, but I know about us. When we choose trust, courage, and protection over fear and suspicion, we change something, even if it's just one life, and that life can change everything else." Rin's patterns shifted, flowing across his skin like rivers of light. He took a deep breath and let himself feel hope, not the fragile, desperate kind, but steady, enduring hope. "I never had a person like you before," he said softly. "Someone who believed in me without question." "You had to find the right human," Eli said with a faint laugh. "Lucky for both of us you did." Rin looked at him, emotion evident in the way his skin shimmered. "Then, what now?" "Now," Eli said, placing a hand lightly on Rin's shoulder, "we help others like you, those who hide, those who are hunted. We show them that humanity can be a shield, not just a threat, and in doing so, we make a better universe." The alien studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "I believe you, and I will follow together." Eli smiled. "That's the story the universe remembers, not what we destroy, but what we protect. not our power but our choices. Humanity isn't just about survival, it's about standing for others when it matters most. Rin's glow intensified in soft waves, not fear or anger but warmth, trust, and life. "Then let's begin," he said. And as the twin suns dipped toward the horizon, casting golden light across forests and cities, two beings, human and alien, walked forward side by side. Not as hunter and hunted, not as stranger and stranger, but as allies, as friends, as a living testament to what courage, trust, and humanity could achieve. The galaxy watched silently, and for the first time it seemed to understand. Being human meant protecting, standing for others, and creating hope in the darkest corners of the stars.